All right, we are live. I'm actually pretty excited to get moving on this. I always forget to wait that like first second or two when I hit record because it can kind of cut off. But anyhow, so I'm gonna be doing more work on Not Death but Love. This is the graphic novel about Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Robert Browning, mainly about Elizabeth and her journey, her kind of strange supernatural journey. And it's a really cool story. I'm really excited about it. We're very fortunate to have a publishing deal for this book. My sister wrote an amazing script for it, put in like years of research into it, and now I'm in the process of roughing out those pages, and so that's what I'll be doing as I'm going. Gary Hodges said, "Cheerio," trying to be period. I think he's saying period specific. I love it. Yeah. So, gents, it's time. So anyhow, I'm really excited because I went to work today where I'm art directing, and I'm starting to become a little obsessed with Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And the neat thing about starting to break down the script is that I've already had to like kind of dip into a lot of the research. I've found some really interesting facts, and trying to like visually convey something. You wind up having to kind of I almost am like back. I'm almost doing what my sister had to do forwards to write the script. I'm almost having to do that backwards to illustrate what she's written. And so it's kind of a cool thing because I'm like we're on page 6, and I'm in love with Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Like I think she's amazing. I think it's a fascinating story. And I'm getting reinvigorated because I'm getting that feeling that I got when my sister first showed me this script, and I was like, we need to do this and pitch it out. Because it we did. It's a really good script. So anyhow, I have some good news. And I do have to do my plugs and all that stuff at the top. Sorry, Frank and Gary. I know you guys have already got my books, so I don't need to push my wares to you, but I still have to mention that at the top. Also, just to let people know what this is. But before I do that, I'll say if you've been watching the last live streams, I did Sunday right before going to sleep. I sent out the roughs that I have so far to my publisher, and the editor really likes the direction of them. There's a few revisions that I'm going to be doing during the stream. So I'm going to tell you guys what I want to accomplish during the stream. I wrote it down on a crazy piece of paper. And again, I, I'm sure Gary and Frank and any cartoonist out there totally relates to this. But if somebody were to come across like my desk and had no idea I was a cartoonist, they would think I'm a lunatic. I have like these notes to myself all over the place. I have like numbers written all over the place. Like I need to get 234 pages done in 365 days. And I have like a little countdown. I finally figured out how I'm going to do it. And so that's good. I've been thinking like, what is the best strategy to get this done? There's a couple approaches I could take, and I kind of have a better idea of that. So actually, let me explain that first. So option one was like do it a page at a time, and that's going to be problematic if I do it a page at a time because let's say I do a page of roughs, send it to my publisher. I'm waiting for their feedback before I like in the okay, as well as I'm sending it not just to my editor but also to my sister who wrote it. And it's like if it's not properly conveying the vision, or like there's a change I made on one of the panels that I thought was like a really good dramatic point, where we're kind of introduced to like 50 Wimpole Street, and then we're introduced to Robert, who's standing under like an eave of a building across the way, holding a letter. And we're gonna find out what that letter is. We aren't introduced or told that it's Robert Browning, and so all we have is this guy who's going to be standing across the way. And I was like, what a cool opportunity because we're introducing 50 Wimpole Street. I'm trying to give it the feel of like a BBC Panorama series, right? Like where it's like really misty and like cobblestone, and you have like, like just a real like London mood, a Victorian London mood. And then it would just be weird to have like a charming image of or an image that's showing clearly that this is not like this guy who's standing in the rain across from the building we're being introduced to is like a normal guy. So what I decided to do was actually imply, like give it a little bit of like the way I framed it, it's a little bit low of a shot. We'll see it because there's a couple things I have to revise on it and I'm going to do on stream. But I decided like I think it would be cooler to kind of cause like some suspense and some page turn action to have Robert kind of like more ominous in the way I'm presenting him. Like I wanted, I liked the idea of kind of creating this suspense so that you're like, who's this guy? Why is he standing there? Like, I want you to have some questions that keep you turning the page. So I made that choice, but that was a little further than what's in the script. That's me like kind of trying to do my due diligence as an illustrator. Similarly, like we were roughing out together and trying to figure out how to have like the mast underwater. And I think like actually people in the chats helped a lot with that too, where it's like the mast in the water just isn't going to translate well. Like a lot of the time, if you think about a mast in a water, it's about the same size and shape as a ship. So it's just going to look like a ship, like an overhead shot of a ship with giant waves and like a really thick mast. But it's going to be hard to read it as the mast of a ship. Like no matter how I kind of sketched it out, it just wasn't working. So I was like, and then we were even talking about it. I was talking about it with people in chat, and most of us were like, it would make a lot more sense if the ship was capsized. So I again like did another kind of going outside of the script and just decided like that actually works even better visually because now I can have the name of the ship, and then we can make a connection between the upside down ship and the ship because you're gonna read that name, the Labella. I'm blanking out on the name, but I have it. Labella Sauvage, which is my wife just. By the way, my wife's going to be in the background working on her kids' books too. So anyhow, having that flip like instantly without thinking about it, you know it's the ship, you know the ship capsized, and it doesn't take like a moment to be like, what? The only thing that's going to create a what is the what we want, which is like what happened? Like how did the ship like that's the question we want people leaving, not like what happened from like we want people to know how to get from point A to point C. The question we want is B. But if they're questioning C and that it at all connects with A, then we've got a problem. So anyhow, I don't know. That's a long-winded thing. But so there were a couple changes and things like that. Let's say I do that every single page, and then I'm doing a page at a time, sending that page to the publisher, right? And then there's that waiting period to kind of have somebody review it. And again, I'm going to be doing a lot of these pages on the weekends. This is a publisher who work, these people have a 9 to 5. And so like, they're not going to be there on the weekends to answer questions or approve roughs or anything like that. I don't want the project to be delayed. So here's my strategy. I have, let's see. Okay, so I've got 3 finished pages roughed. After tonight, I'll have done, I have one that's fully approved. I have one that needs a mild revision to the rough, which is why you do roughs, right? Because like it's a heck of a lot easier to do revisions at this point. And then I have one that had a questionable thing, but I since have like, I messaged my sister, the writer, and she found a few images that are going to change a little bit because we actually know the front of the building is almost the same of 50 Wimple Street. But what I found out is that the overhead of it is and I remember we were talking about this on stream. The overhead was either rectangular or rounded. And I went with like, well, I kind of like the rectangular, it just looks a little classier. I made the wrong call. We finally got like a final understanding of that like it was actually like an arch, which is great. So that's an easy change. The other thing was it was like a checkered arch, which is really interesting. It looks like dark stone and then light stone, like in a pattern, like dark light, dark light, dark light, in only a way that like the tackiest Victorian designer could do. But that's great. That's great. So that's good knowledge. So I'm gonna be revising my shot of 50 Wimple Street a little bit. Again, these are rough, so it's really easy to make these changes. But I got all that valuable feedback. So here's my strategy moving forward, and then I'm going to do my plugs, and then we're going to get into doing some research. We have a better understanding. My sister sent me like one image. There's one sketch that somebody actually did of Elizabeth. The problem is it's a really weird Victorian sketch by somebody who was probably a writer and not an artist. so so we kind of have one angle of her room. And the neat thing is I also have, like, I know that on page 6 I also need to show an overhead shot of Elizabeth. She's going to be laying on a chaise longue, or I'm always going to pronounce that wrong, but all day long she's going to be that's my new Elizabeth Barrett Browning song. But anyhow, so I know I'm gonna do an overhead shot. She needs to be covered by a blanket. And now I know what that blanket looks like. So like this is so fun. It feels like the sleuthiest, like most the part of me that's I suspect is slightly autistic is like really loving this, because it's like all of my tendencies to go down rabbit holes and like find more information are fed by this project. So I think, first off, my strategy for like maintaining the drive to do it, I have no doubt that that's not, I don't think I'm going to lose interest or get bored during this project, because every page has been like just crazy engaged. Like I'm really interested in it. And I think it's part of the historical fiction thing. So now, Gary, thanks a lot. I'm in your club now. I have to do historical fiction. So I'm definitely on board. And that's going to keep me engaged. But number 2, I think the best strategy, now that I'm like 3 pages ahead, is going to be I'm going to finish the roughs for page 6. This is a complicated shot. It's the first time I've drawn the rune, so there's a lot of research I'm going to have to do that even if I have to redo, at least I'll know where to start to look to do that. But I'm going to finish that rough. That's what I want to do during this stream. I want to revise the one page that has it's just like a panel placement, which is pretty easy to fix. Other than that, like page 4, so we started on page 3. Page 2 is the title page, right? Or sorry, page 2 is the legalese. That's going to be on your left side, which I learned really recently is called verso in book design. And then on the recto page, like the first page you see when you open it, is going to be a title page. I'm skipping the title page and the legalese. I firmly believe that if you can, you should try to do like book covers and book design, like once you have an idea of like what your interiors are. Or at least till I'm like halfway through and I have like a real good feel for it. Like if I'm just having a day where I like cannot for the life of me like rough out a page, maybe that'll be a good time to like start working on some potential title treatments, which I'm going to try to be really involved in. Anyhow, I'm totally rambling. Let's get into it. Let's get into the strategy. So basically, it's nothing complicated. It's just if I can manage to do one page of roughs, and then try to do one finish around the same night. If I can do one rough and one finish around the same night, and every night send that rough to my publisher and whatever revisions from the other roughs, then we're going to be in really good shape. That means like I'll easily be able to hit the 365-day thing. That means like hardly any days off. I know that like 235 does not equal 365, but anybody who's worked on a project like this, you'll know there are roughs like the page 6 we were working on last night that might take a night, and then maybe there isn't time to do a final page. But that's my goal. So my goal is going to be to do a rough and then finalize it. A lot of the finalizing, I'm going to do some of that off air. I'm going to do some of that on air. But as I'm plotting this out and doing the research, I want to make sure I'm doing these streams because I think it's a lot of fun. Also, Frank in the chats said, "What's up, humans?" I guess he's talking to you guys, the humans. That would be messed up if I was like, "Oh, what's up?" Like Scott, and you were just like instantly kind of responding with like, yeah, I said humans. I didn't. Anyhow, I probably won't get back to it till next week. I had to clean. Oh, that's in response to Frank asking Scott how his redesign of the underground lair is going, which I'm actually really excited about. So anyhow, I have a map, I have a plan, I know what I need to do, and now we're gonna jump into it. There's one thing I have to do before that. But I'm glad to kind of like verbalize that out loud too. I think that's going to help me kind of be really focused as I'm going. Okay. If you haven't yet though, before we get into like drawing and research and all that fun stuff, there's one thing before I do my pitch again. Another follow-up is the more I've thought about the Barretts of Wimpole Street, there's a few things that really bug me about that movie. One is, I will say just off the top, it's a very like sappy like romance movie from that era, and it's kind of like it's got the charm of like a black and white, old time flick. The some of the like for me, it was helpful to kind of visualize the positioning of the room, so that was very helpful, and to get like a 1/100th take of like what it is going to look like. Like, I mean, not what it is going to look like what the Browning story is. But the thing is, like, it's like a 1/100th of like Elizabeth's story. Like, I think my problem with it, and what I like about our script that I think is like a unique thing that this book is going to offer, is that it actually like is very accurate to her biography. And I feel like that movie, and then most people who've done stories about Elizabeth Barrett Browning since, have kind of made her like this woman who was just fragile and had no agency and had this overbearing father. So it almost becomes like a Rapunzel story, right? Where it's like, her father is like the person keeping her in the tower, and then Robert is like the prince who comes and saves this helpless damsel who's been like trapped in the area. And I understand like there's a Hollywood charm to that, but she's so much more badass than that and has so much more agency than that movie gives her. And her father was more nuanced. Like, he was evil and overly controlling, but he was way more nuanced. And actually, Elizabeth was like a lot stronger than that film makes her out to be. I mean, you got to realize this is a person who like literally just like kind of gave the finger to her family lineage, got literally like disowned for like leaving her family's wealth and everything behind because she fell in love with a really rad poet. And he was younger than her too, so she was being pretty bold and like sort of pursuing him as well. So it's like this weird, I mean, Robert definitely pursued her. There was a courtship, but it's like this movie just makes it seem like, there's just this gorgeous damsel who's, really sickly and stuck in her room, but writing love letters. And it's like, again, there's like a semblance of truth to it, but it's like the thing I love about this script that I'm working on is it's like, it's so much better, and so much better researched. And I think, what my sister had access to was like more information than I think they bothered with that play. So anyhow, that being said, let's get into the pitch, and then I'm going to get into the rough revisions and all that fun stuff. So Jacob's Apartment is my graphic novel about these two roommates. Jacob is dealing with his father's sickness. His father is dying of cancer, and he's kind of questioning his faith, his Christianity. He's a Christian, and he's starting to question if God exists, and if God does, is he a good God? Like a lot of those early kind of questioning of faith kind of conversations. And meanwhile, Sarah, his roommate, who's an atheist, is kind of dealing with her own questioning of identity because she's just had basically her boyfriend kind of abandoned her, just kind of bail on their relationship and move to New York. They're both roommates, and they're both kind of trying to find their identities. They're also trying to pursue their dreams in pursuing literary pursuits in life. And as they're having common pursuits of their dreams in reality, they start having overlapping actual dreams, like their dreams while they're asleep start having like weird interweaving connections. It's a young love, slice of life, doomed romance novel in the vein of Ghost World or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and I think you guys will enjoy it. And if you want to support what I do, that would be a good way to do it. So make sure you pre-order this or go to your local bookstore. Best thing you can do is go to your local bookstore, no matter how big or small, and say, hey, Jacob's Apartment, it's distributed by Diamond. It's coming out from by Joshua Kemble, the publisher's Graphic Mundi. Just you can say just Jacob's Apartment by Joshua Kemble, and make sure you spell sorry, I thought that was the correct way. Make sure you spell Kemble correctly. But aside from that, like, you should be able to get them to carry this. So you can just say, hey, carry this in your bookstore, carry 3 in your bookstore. That's one way you can really support that, because that comes out in June, and we want to reward awesome publishers like Graphic Mundi for taking a risk on like cool indie stuff. That being said, speaking of indie publishers who take a risk, this is 2 stories. Book 1, which is my graphic novel that talks about my journey with dealing with mental illness, and talks a lot about some of the kind of complexities of trying to caregive for somebody who's having mental disorder. And then also it is talks a lot about like my childhood growing up as a geek and doing things like cosplaying as Indiana Jones for a year at a Christian school, and also the weirdness of Christian schools and kind of the hypocrisy and all that kind of stuff. So that book, it's book 1 that talks about my journey finding faith. It's out right now, and you can buy it on Amazon. And again, support indie comics. And if you haven't read this, this will give you a taste of like the kind of stuff I do. And if you order it on Amazon today and you have Amazon Prime, you'll get free shipping, and it'll probably get to you within a week at least. So I can't promise their shipping times, but I have definitely had times where I've had friends who order this on Amazon and like the next day it just shows up at their door, especially if they have Prime. So 2 stories, book 1, Joshua Kemble. Again, if you spell the last name right, you should be good. All right, let's get into it. Man, that was a long one. I think I went a little too long on that pitch. All right. But I am excited about the book, and I'm verbalizing some stuff. Frank said, she sounds like my grandmother on my dad's side. She was disowned from her wealthy family because she fell in love with my grandfather. They both died before I met them, so I can't verify everything. Yep. I mean, that I think it's a pretty common story, you know, of families and stuff. But I think, you know, there's different eras, and I think the further back you go, like the more that, like, you know, nowadays I think obviously getting disowned by your family would have implications, but it's like, at least in the US, it's not like there's this kind of like houses and barons and like, you know, like societies where like if you're cut, like your whole social status is in jeopardy, you know. Anyhow, so but I also think it's cool that she left the kind of swanky, like wealthy echelons or whatever to kind of marry a poet. Now keep in mind, like, the Brownings were not poor, you know, like they were pretty wealthy. It's just like compared to like the upper class, they were like lower, right? But that's like from a perspective of like they were still in like the game of classes. Like they weren't servants in a household. They had servants, right? Like, so they're not like me, like, you know, but still they're also like some of the most important poets in English literature. And so anyhow, I don't know. I think it's a great story. It's a great story. This isn't just telling their love story, though. That's what I like about this too. It gives more of, you're going to get more of a sense of Elizabeth as we go through, and a sense of mystery and suspense. So let's get into it. Where are we? Okay, daily stream. Oh my goodness, that's my thumbnail for last time's video. So we're going to close that out. Okay, so the first thing, and how are you guys in the chats, by the way? Let me know. The first thing we're going to work on is the revision. Excuse me. I get really bad allergies once it hits springtime. And I'm lucky to live where I live because there's not like a lot of pollen just flying around. Okay, so we're going to this part that says Torquay, England, which, by the way, I'm probably mispronouncing. I can totally think that I'm probably mispronouncing it.
CK's farting like crazy over here.
All right, we have a really old pug, and I guess our old pug is letting the ghost go, like the ghosts of his food, waft through our house. Oh, geez, I can smell that here. Okay. Oh my goodness. You guys, I'm just warning you, pugs, as they age, they're much like a fine wine. Except the reverse. Where you know how like a red wine gets finer and finer the older it gets. Pugs get stranger and stranger and like snorkier and snorkier, and then start getting a little fartier and fartier like the further it goes. No, Frank, I don't think it was called Twerky England. Okay, so I want you guys to know, I think this will be the fun thing about watching these streams too, is when this book comes out, when you look at this page, you'll know, like, you know, all the people who haven't been watching this stream that might read this book will like read it and kind of be like, what a tragic event. And you will be reading it and thinking, wow, what a tragic event. And then cracking up because you're going to remember our joke about where it says Torquay, England. And it's like this sequence and stuff. And then you have all these characters. But as we were looking for a boat, we were saying, what if it was a jet ski and each one of them had Uzis, but it was still like Victorian dudes? And then, anyhow, so you guys will have that visual picture. No one else will. That's a pretty cool thing. That's a magical thing. All right. Yeah, Philip. Philip's probably familiar with pugs because he said, yeah, they not only do they get snorkier, but they get gassier. Exactly. Yeah.
He's trying to kill us.
My wife and her sister. I don't know how much of it you guys can hear when they're talking, so I will recap. They were saying the dog is probably trying to kill them with his gas. So as I'm drawing, if you guys see like a waft of cloud kind of float by behind me, it's just my just people passing, like all in the background. That's our pug. His name's CK, and by the way, this is just to tie it into the pitch. I talk about CK, our pug, in Two Stories Book 1.
What's his real name?
CK Dexter Haven is his full name. All right, so we're gonna draw Torquay. Okay, I'm just gonna start calling it Porquay. Porquay, England. Why England? Why? Porquay. No?
I like it. I say no, you say you like it.
Let me do this again. I'm here all night, guys. I'm here all night. Okay. So all I have to do is rock this and try to stay focused and not smell anything in the room because we do have pug stink wafting through. Isn't that a great endorsement of pugs? But see, here's the thing about pugs. Like, so I remember before my wife and I had a pug, when I was a young man and I was just starting to take like my general ed classes at like at the junior college nearby me, because I didn't grow up super rich, so I was like, I'm gonna go to junior college because it's like I'll get my GE stuff there, all my basic stuff like the general ed stuff, and then transfer over, and then I can just pay a bunch of money for art classes as opposed to paying a bunch of money for classes that are outside what I want to do. Anyhow, that was a total distraction to even bring up. But anyhow, I'm at this school and I had an English teacher that I absolutely loved, and he was hilarious. He used to wear like tiki t-shirts all the time. And him and his wife were both English teachers at the same school, which was adorable because you'd show up to class to like take a test, and he would be gone sick and she would be gone sick. Like they would just call out sick and go on vacation together. It was kind of adorable. Anyhow, they were rad teachers, but he also was obsessed with pugs because they were pug owners. So he like showed our class like pug calendars. He brought his pugs to class. And this is before I realized the love that I have for pugs. I just thought it was the strangest thing because, when his pug would come to class, it would just be like snork, snork, and like doing this crazy breathing. And you're like, how do you even relax with like just this snork and all this noise and stuff like that? And then Maya and I like kind of started falling in love with pugs when we were like early on in our like before we were married, like early in our relationship. Um and then like this weird thing happens with pugs is like as you own a pug, like you actually kind of don't feel relaxed if they aren't making noises. Like if I'm sleeping and I'm not hearing this like loud just squawk, like I'm like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with CK. I can't hear anything. What's going on? There's something strangely like if I lay down and I hear this squawk, it's like it's just like this meditative, beautiful thing. And that's a pug owner for you. Like pug owners are like, yeah, it's pretty rad that they fart and make snorky noises and act all silly. Um, so anyhow, that was my little wow. That was a very very on point and on. Hey, you know what? Elizabeth Barrett Browning had a dog named Watt that she brought everywhere, and it was very much a part of her and Robert's relationship. So yeah, dogs can tie in. What do you think? I think my temptation was to have it say like Torquay, England. There. Where do we want Torquay? I really am gonna need to find out how to pronounce that. Can you imagine you're like listening to like when this book comes out? Can you imagine you were like listening to something where it's like Elizabeth Barrett Browning is a fine poet, and our next guests have written this story that gets into the deep connection of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Yes, in Torquay, England. Like I'm gonna need to learn how to pronounce that before the book comes out. I can probably ask my sister; she'll know. A good friend of my dad's used to have one, and they bring it over all the time. And I always thought he was really adorable. They are really adorable. They're strange, but they're like strange in a good way. Okay, save as. So we finished. There we go. We got one thing done. Oh, we don't want to save to the Creative Cloud. That's the one thing I don't like about the new push on Adobe. Have you guys noticed that? It's like really pushing you to pay for a Creative Cloud subscription. And I'm like, I don't want to pay for your Creative Cloud thing. Like I'm kind of annoyed, honestly, that I can't even save a file without getting an ad for it. Anyhow, I don't know. Do any of you guys use the Creative Cloud? Maybe I'm missing out on something great. Okay, I'm gonna put this one in old, and so now I've saved this. So you're gonna notice the file name. Anytime I'm doing, and this is actually just good workflow habits that I've picked up from working in-house places. You always want to organize your artwork into files really effectively. So like when you're working on a project, you should have like multiple folders. Like one should be roughs, one should be for web, one should be finals, one should be current, right? And then like maybe have one that's for reference. Like you have all those folders in one folder that's for the job, that's named in a way where you aren't going to lose track of the folder. And then equally, like when you are working with a client and you get a revision, even on a rough, don't save over your old page, because then if like you show it, let's say I show this to my publisher and they're like, never mind, go back, and I saved over it, I'm screwed. Mai just said that's happened to me. Yeah, it happened to me early on as an illustrator too. What you always want to do is just save it like the same file name, but then like _1 or whatever naming system you want, like _A_B, whatever it is that's going to kind of keep your iterations as separate files. When you're done with the job and it's gone to the printer and stuff like that, then you can get rid of previous files, right? If you want to. But sometimes you can really get value by like saving those old files, especially if you messed up. You can always go back, and that's like, anyhow, totally. Frank said Torquay is pronounced Torquay. Okay, Torquay. But then why the A? The AY. Torquay? Okay, well, anyhow. That's a funny sounding name. All right. We have finished one of the jobs. By the way, I was very pleased that that's the one piece of feedback, because that's neat. Like, if I'm able to finish rough 6 and still have a couple hours, at least I can start iterating on like a final for page 1, because it's approved, or not page 1, page 3. Okay, we got page 4. Let's go to that. Was approved. Ba, ba, ba. So no changes to page 4. Page 5, there's no page changes from the publisher, but there are changes from me because I want to be accurate historically. And my rad sister, the writer, provided me with, let me see if I can find it. When you guys see this, you're going to be like, oh, snap, this is amazing. If you were here during the search. Do you see that? Do you see that checkered entryway? So that is what it looked like. It was also covered in some vines, and I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm not going to cover it in vines because I think that would be graphically really hard to read. What I can do is correct the entryway. And the neat thing, and then also I need to add some of that lattice work, that metal lattice work on it. Which, by the way, I think some of that's still there. It really is just about rounding the entrance. And we had that conversation on a stream prior. Now I got to just dig through this and find where that is. Okay, we're going to have, like, the nice thing is the first panel, even though I didn't redraw, there it is. That's where I'm going to make the change. I also want to make sure I know where I dropped this. Okay, cool. So, yeah, when we were looking for the door of 50 Wimple, Wimple is a funny sounding, very like British. Hello, welcome to Wimple. Okay, so I was doing some British accents while I was drawing it too. I was kind of like, hello there, old chaps. Let's welcome to Wimple Street. Gonna wimple my way over here. Wimple almost sounds like a sport, like wiffle ball or something.
Isn't that where they have the what do you call it?
So I think Paul McCartney. There's a couple things on Wimple Street, but Paul McCartney lived there for a while. I think he had a flat, not at 50. I mean, that would be amazing. That would be like uncanny, but he was literally like a next door neighbor. So at some point in this comic, I'm going to be just totally ahistorical and just have Paul McCartney come in and be like, "Hello there, are you Elizabeth Barrett Browning? I'm Paul McCartney of the Beatles in Victorian England, as is accurate to the time period." And then Robert and Elizabeth will go to a Beatles concert together. And that's that. Oh man, I just spoiled the ending. How could I do that? Like, I mean, really, I shouldn't have given away the fact that they're going to meet Paul McCartney at the end of a historical fiction graphic novel in the Victorian England. Okay. I will say, this I think is really progressive and cool of my publisher. I asked them about these. I said I do live streams when I'm working on my own personal projects, you know, and like Marcosi is okay with that as long as I don't like post the pages to my website. Like post the whole book to where it's just like easily accessible to read. But anyhow, so I asked this publisher and West Margin, and they were like, yes. Don't give away the entire thing, but it's like, yeah, you can totally share the process as it's going. They even said, like, we'd like you to do that because that's good promotion and it's a good way to like build a ground game before the book's released. And I was like, thank you for being modern. I know this is corny, but it's like a lot of, and I don't want to diss other publishers who haven't kind of updated their model or whatever, but it's like, it is good. It's just a good thing to be like cognizant of, like, it's doing things like this as you're working on a project. It's a good, it just makes good sense, good business sense. Because I mean, to be honest, like, are you guys in the chats like more interested in the book now? Like, having seen me work on it, like, if this comes out, you're probably gonna want to get it, I would imagine. That's the thinking behind it. And also, I'm also, this is just a nerdy thing, but I'm gonna probably recommend that people, if they're working on historical fiction books, do live streams, because holy crap, it helps with research. Like, I didn't even think of that angle to it, but it totally does. So I'm just modifying this a bit. I think I'm going to still keep this arch thing up here, this triangular part, because I can. And it looks cool. I like it more than the ivy. But at least that'll get us a little closer to like the actual final look. So this actually had like a fence too. We're going to kind of indicate that fence. And the beauty of this, again, too, is like, these are rough, so I don't need to be too precious about it till we get to finals. Even then, I still need to be a little loose because that's going to fit the style better, but obviously a lot tighter than this. Look at that. We did it. So I have adjusted. Oh, I haven't finished it. I was ready to like declare victory too soon. Torquay, England, huh? I love it. Okay, I'm going to save this. And again, if you're doing a second iteration of something, I'm going to save it as _1. You'll see that title change up top. Boom, there we go. Close it up. Drag the old one. By the way, I'd show you guys some tips on like file handling, but I'm always, hesitant to like show my entire desktop. I trust you guys, but the internet is a strange place. So I don't know if I trust any random stranger to not do bad things with that information. Just, because not everybody's like you guys. Let's see here. So I'm just describing what I'm doing right now. I'm actually dragging the old page 5 into my old folder. So now I have rough page 3.1, rough page 4, which was approved, rough page 5_1, and then now we're on rough page 6. So now that I have ticked off 2 of the boxes, let's see how long we've been streaming. Okay, 45, but it's a perfect time to take a break. We also, you're going to see on this page, are you guys seeing new information that wasn't there? That drawing of Elizabeth is totally new. That was provided by the writer, my sister, from one of the books that she has on the Barretts and the Brownings. And then that to the right of her, the drawing of her, and I'm not talking about my drawing of her eyes. I'm talking about like right under, right about here. That's new information. I don't really need this anymore. That was helpful though. That was also from Lavender, the writer, to show like what the building looked like. You know what? I should keep that up because we both, and here's the thing, it requires so much speculation. We think it was on the second floor. I think it's indicated very heavily it's on the second floor, but really we can't 100% say, at least from what we could find, that it is the second floor, but we're just going to have to go with the second floor. So the reason I want to leave this up here is there are 3 windows that are going to be really important on the other side of it, right? That wall that's whatever wall those windows are coming through, I want those to be to Elizabeth's room. So like what I'm thinking is like when you look at those 3 windows and then you look at this drawing, and obviously the writer was inventing a garden because there was no garden. Like from her window, you would have seen another set of flats across the way, but they were being inventive. But what I do have here that's really helpful is like that window behind Elizabeth's head is probably the first window to the left on that top image. So that's going to help me kind of work it out. We also have some text descriptions where it says, the street in front of her house, there was a wheelchair. Still, her room was her world, crowded with sofa, bed, washstand, and crimson bookcases bursting with books and lined with busts of poets. And I was a little bothered when I first read that in the script. I'm like, why would you just say busts of poets and not the specific poets? And again, like, I don't think that's good writing to say the specific poets. It's just, it makes so much work for the illustrator, right? Because it's like, now I got to look up poets. But then I was realizing this is going to be an overhead shot, so I don't think we're going to recognize the poets from this angle anyway. However, there's probably going to be another angle of the room where I'll have to get more specific. Anyhow, was in fact saved by the very imagination that her doctors attempted to curve, her poetry and her literary work. And then it says, aided by her belief in God, by her family, and the morphine she had taken since the age of 14, which is also weird because, again, I think like this is the tragedy of a lot of people at that time where a lot of people at that time were like slightly sick and then they got hooked on opium. And so they were like perpetually having opium withdrawals. So it's like they got sicker, but like it would temporarily like cure what they were, how they were. But it is kind of a shame that like at the time they didn't realize, but like a lot of her symptoms, a lot of what they describe, there was definitely some pain, and I think she had some back issues and stuff like that. But like, from all accounts I can understand, it sounds like, yeah, the opium wasn't helping. Like, it was kind of like if you're feeling lethargic and then you just get pumped up on opium, I don't think that's going to help you feel more alive and awake, right? So don't do laudanum, ladies and gentlemen out there in Victorian England. Laudanum is not a good cure for your sickness. I need a monocle when I do it, like a Victorian anti-drug statement. Okay, so we're in good shape. I'm gonna disappear for 2 seconds, and then I will be back, and we're gonna work out that panel that I did a very tiny thumbnail to. I also have to adjust that because there was another piece of text that the only other piece of information it really gave about the room was there's a fireplace, and I think the movie had that on the set. But I need to like kind of invent where that fireplace is going to be in the room. So I might need to resituate it. I'm thinking I also noticed that I might need to flip it. I don't know. We'll work it out when I get back. But we also have a bunch of stuff we have to research. So I will be right back, and then we're going to get into the fun rough stuff. All right. Oh, sorry. I need to check off. I will tell you guys, like, that's why I write things down, because it's very fulfilling to have a little checklist and then you cross things off as you're done, and that feels great because you're visually representing your progress. Okay, I'll be right back.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I got a refill on my coffee. Let me know if anybody's watching along live right now. How's the mic volume? Is my mic too close? Am I too loud? Just let me know, because this mic I've only been using for like 3 streams, and I was using it long ago, but I'm still kind of adjusting to it. Like if the volume's fine, that's great, but I don't want to be like peaking out, blowing out the mic, because I know I have like a very loud voice. And I will try to be a little quieter as well, if that's the case. But I can also move it a little further away, depending on how it's coming through for you guys. Volume seems fine, says Gary. That's good. Okay, let's get into the fun stuff here. So we have. Oh, Gary, did you get a kick out of the fact that like I was like an hour into research on a room, and I'm like, what kind of couch? What kind of couch? And guess what kind of couch, Gary? Guess what kind of couch? Can you tell me what kind of couch this is? I want to see it in the chats, because I think it's something you would lay on all day long. And the second I saw that, I was like, oh, Gary will get a kick out of that. So we're doing like a Wes Anderson style shot where it's just like a straight overhead view that's uncomfortable, right? She's just going to be laying there like a corpse on this specific thing that I don't want to blow till you mention it in the chats. I just thought it was funny because it was like, exactly. Yeah. And I still pronounce it wrong, but it's a chaise longue. But anyhow, yeah. So all day long, I thought that was hilarious. And that song, of course, is now like the theme song for Elizabeth Barrett Browning in my head. I didn't realize that song was about Elizabeth Barrett Browning until doing this project. Now I'm going to think about the Brownings. Anyhow, I thought it was funny because I think we were riffing on that really recently. Oh, Gary said he bought tickets to see Wet Leg today. That's awesome. I dig that band. That's the most uncomfortable band name to say to anyone, and I kind of appreciate that about them too. Like, if you name your band a band name that's like shocking to say, it's, I don't know. It's kind of awesome because that just doesn't sound comfortable to be like, yeah, Wet Legs, awesome. It's like, wait, why is the like? There's so many just connotations, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's special, very special. Okay, so here's my conundrum. Here is she's laying the other direction in this new image that I found. So we're going to rotate around my thumbnail. I think I need to adjust my thinking on the room because now I know this bagoom. I don't know what bagoom is, but apparently it's a sound effect, you guys. I also know they want the drapes drawn, so we're gonna have like again. This is before I do all the research. This is just a thumb. So I know I'm gonna have like these crazy drapes, and these are Victorian drapes, so they probably drag on the floor like those Philistines of that time. Can you imagine? Like, no wonder they needed like maids and butlers and stuff. It's like literally like the shades are like pouring like down from like covering the window all over the floor. Can you imagine like how much dirt and just junk gets on there? Chris was saying this is a fun part of the process to see. Looking forward to this one. Me too, man. How's it going, Chris? I will tell you, man, like working on this is reminding me a lot of the nights where we'd work on like t-shirt designs or illustrations. Because you'd be doing like an illustration of like Thor for Marvel, but this is how Kawagua does it, where he'd be like, I'm gonna do a Thor shirt, but I want to have like runes and actual Norse letters and like all this iconography and historical significance like tied into like the like everything in the design would be like really well researched and thought out. Um so yeah, Chris, join us. Join us. Join me and Gary. Do some historical fiction. It's so fun. I'm saying that, but it is really crazy. Okay, so now I know like she's gonna have this. I'm gonna do okay. Now I know I got like a great thing here. I also know like I want her to have like there's something I can iterate from this, which is if you're sitting right. Let's go above it so I can sketch it out. So if you're sitting here on a chaise longue all day long, you're gonna get like, and you're pumped full of laudanum, and you're depressed about your brother passing away, right? You're trying to like snuggle your dog, stay warm, right? Warmth would be a thing. So there's a blanket. Good to know. Where do you guys think, if the chaise longue is pointed this way, this picture is giving me a lot of great information historically, I think. I think it would not be crazy to speculate that if I drew a line right here, like if she's shooting laser beams from her eyes, right here is going to be a big old fireplace. That's why she's there. That's why she's on that side of the room. So now I know some other things, which is the fireplace. Man, I hope this isn't over the image. Thank goodness. Wouldn't that be sad? And now I have drawn over all of my reference images and have to completely. No, I'm just kidding. I have it on a separate layer. So that tells me that like up here is going to be the location of the fireplace, which actually would kind of make sense because your fireplace is going to be next to a wall generally. It wouldn't make it. I mean, I know some of these buildings have like a fireplace in the center, maybe next to a wall there, or like a structural part. But in general, on buildings, like I think they're trying to make the fireplace be like toward the side of the building, so you can have like a good chimney that's not going to light your house on fire. So now we know the location of the fireplace. So there's a couple things I need to change in my thumbnail from that information. I'm just saying why I think that. If that, I don't know. Does that even, like, here's the thing. I don't know if that's like how obvious that is to someone, or like how profound that is. Like for me, that was like a real cool observation. And I felt really smart about it. But for like somebody with a brain, they might be like, yeah, I mean, yeah, the fireplace is there. What's the big deal? All right, so we're getting rid of a bookshelf. I want a little room too, to where you could walk by a fireplace. This is also going to be one of those crazy Victorian fireplaces. So this is going to be a big old fireplace with some like Victorian business going on. Probably a monocle and a mustache on the fireplace, as all Victorian fireplaces have. So that's also cool. So that's good to know. I might have to adjust my thinking about the bookshelves. And the fireplace, I do want there to be like something crazy, like an old clock or something. That might be helpful for future panels. And we're going to have like a statue of a poet. So now I'm starting to get a better perspective on the building. Now, here's the thing. If Elizabeth has... Okay, now I got to work out some hard stuff here. Where it's like, okay, this is going to be the wall. So I think I need to get rid of that. I think I need to think about what is going to be here. Probably like a table, because it's Victorian era and they just cluttered the crap out of everything, which is awesome. So I'm thinking a bookshelf here, but this is going to be the corner of the flipping room that we're looking at, really. I mean, it's not going to be, and that actually matches the description. So if we were to see it further out from the way I'm going to have to crop it in, and I might even need to crop some of these details off, but I'm imagining we're going to have like, okay, we got 1 window, 2 windows, 3 windows. So I'm thinking back here is going to be fairly distant. Okay, so now we probably have another wall coming up around here. So if there's a bed, where's our bed going to be? Does that make sense? I know our entrance, this was the nice thing about that very inaccurate movie about the Brownings. We're trying to get a picture here before I do crazy research. And I hope this is helpful. So I'm thinking like my entryway is going to be here, and it's going to be like this crazy Victorian entryway. So a lot of the time the entryways have this like faux wood thing. And I did like that about the movie. So we're going to kind of pretend it's a faux wood entry room kind of thing. So that's going to be like that a little bit. Sorry. Totally just doodling here. Just trying to work it out. So this is how people come in and out. That's a really thin entry, so it's going to need to be a little wider. Come in and out. Okay, here's the liberty I'm going to take. There's like a thing in Victorian England where everything was about like pomp and circumstance and like decency, right? And so if she has a bedroom where she sleeps, because the whole point of a chaise longue Oh my gosh, I'm never gonna pronounce that right. On the chaise long. There we go. I gotta just think of the song. So you don't have that kind of seat um for somebody to like sleep forever on. Like that's like a seat that you're either gonna like talk to Sigmund Freud on, or you're like a sick person who like you're bedridden all the time. So it's a way to get out of your bed and yet still kind of sleep. So, which by all accounts, like I was so pleased to find this because this is somewhat a chaise long or whatever, without the backer that I'm seeing. So it's like this is a reclining uh type of thing. But anyhow, my point is because it's Victorian era, there is no way in hell that they're gonna have just an open bed in the room. Like a house like this that's all about decency and like royalty and class or whatever. You're gonna have your bed here probably like behind some kind of veil or curtain or like faux wall or like changing things. So that's what I'm guessing is up here. I just want to know what's in this room because we might have to revisit this. So so yeah, maybe that goes all the way back here and that's like your kind of thing. Um so now we need to think. So I'm starting to build a map of this room. Victorian decor, home decor, probably everything is poisonous. Yeah, that's true. They had everything painted in just lead, just like pure lead. Um, there's a bit about medieval England in those wizard books. I love these books by Scott Mayer called Off to be the Wizard. And they have a church that they call Lead Church in the story. I mean, these are humor comics, right? Okay, remember the word Barrett's sofa because that was all the references that I'm going to need. So now I want to think of all of this stuff we've just shown. How can I show this and keep that 3-bar thing that Corey very rightfully thought would be cool as like a composition? Like we're making a black flag page, you guys. A flipped black flag. Okay, Gary said the confusion is I think Americans would say chase lounge, but wet leg girls are saying chase long. And chase long, I think, is actually and I think it's like chase long. And I think that's actually the correct pronunciation, which is why I'm getting it wrong because I'm a Californian and I say dude. And I can't pronounce anything for the life of me, no matter how hard I try. All right. But maybe I should just start calling it a chase lounge because at least that's going to be consistent. Okay, that's going to be of all that thumbnail. I'm going to note this though as room fun because that little map we just made is going to be very helpful for me. Okay, there's a couple other things that I got to work out here. But at this point, I think we're good to go back to my images. And kind of like start working this out. Where was that? Oh, come on. We're getting close, you guys. I spoke out loud the name. There it is, Barrett's sofa. I was like, I know those were somewhere. Okay, I don't think I need this anymore. we've got a bed, we've got a washstand. This is giving me a rough idea. Let's go back to the script too. Sticking to the script. We're going to have her room is cozy, but crowded with a bed, washstand, and shelves packed with books and busts of famous poets, shut off from the world with heavy drapes. I think we're getting closer to that. So now what I'm going to do is just arrange my references so that they're not in my way. So I'm going to have, okay, we don't need Elizabeth's eyeballs. We can cover that up for now. Sorry, Elizabeth. I've got my very important, this is probably the most important piece of reference right there. Because that's a drawing by one of her friends. And it looks like one of those kind of English drawings. Maybe I'm being too critical, but I'm like, that looks like a drawing that would be done by a rich guy who's like, I can draw. Because there's like that Victorian thing where I think at that time everyone learned. Now that's going to get me on a sad tangent about like some of the things they had right in that era, and that would be one, I think. Okay. There's that's what she's going to be laying on. And now we're going to start gathering this stuff. So this is all pretty good. I want to have my list, but I want to turn it off because it's very distracting. So I need to label that as list. That we're going to kind of have very conveniently close to us. I'm also going to increase the size of this to see. Wait, let's make a copy of it. Okay. I'm going to increase the size of this to get it sized to the page. And we're almost at 11. So my hope is, I almost don't want to speak it out loud because this might take a while. And I'm a slow artist, but I'm hoping that we'll have this scene fully roughed out by the time it's 12. And you guys can make fun of me if I don't hit that. How do we pronounce that hipster low sugar soda LaCroix? I can't stand LaCroix. So I just can't stand the flavor of it. This cracked me up. I knew somebody who was bragging very openly about how healthy they are because they stay hydrated drinking LaCroix. And then listening to like a radio show where they were talking about carbonated water being dehydrating, and it's not really, it's not like, it isn't healthy. It's very like, very much like the carbonation kind of takes away the hydrating effect. So it doesn't count as like the measured water you should have. And I was like, take that, hipster who was bragging about that business. Victorian home decor, probably everything's poisonous. Yeah, that's true. Everything is coated in cloisonne, which again is just covered in lead. Oh, I forgot to finish the thought about Lead Church. So in that story, there's these people who, it's wizards. They travel back in time. They're not really wizards, but anyhow, it's people who travel back in time. They end up claiming they're wizards because they're actually nerds that know how to like fix coding and stuff, and they accidentally end up finding a code that alters the world. So they travel back to Victorian England, or not Victorian, medieval England, and and then there's a town called Lead Church, and they're like, why is it called Lead Church? And they're like, well, because the church is made of lead. Like, so then they go to visit Lead Church, and it's like there's little kids just like licking the side of the church, and they're like, it's a holy church, it's good to lick the lead. It's like the weirdest thing, but it's also just making fun of the fact that like so much stuff was made of lead before they knew how terrible it is. I'm probably not doing that book justice, but if you guys ever want to read something really funny, Off to Be the Wizard series, I highly recommend. Very much so recommend. Okay, so first I need to step out again for like 2 seconds, and then we're gonna start doing research. So I'm gonna look up the grassy knoll, and then we're gonna start. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that kind of research. Don't worry. This isn't that kind of show, you guys. Okay. So I'll be right back, but we're gonna do some hunting. To find, first off, I want to find a good pose. Overhead shot of a woman, so at least that gives me a start. I want to find okay, we have the Chase Lounge. Now we need to find, I'm going to just start calling it Chase Lounge because my attempt to pronounce it is like, I don't know. It's just not, it's been failing. And then I need to find like the kind of table wash basin thing that's next to her. I need to find like a rough idea of what the bookshelves look like and a few other ornamental things. And then we're probably going to be really set to do the rough and have it wrapped by like 12, I think. So I'm going to disappear for like 2 seconds. Because again, I've been going nonstop on this, and I think it's important to kind of keep the sanity whilst doing it. Oh, Chris was saying regarding LaCroix, it's no good for hydrating, but it's avoiding massive amounts of sugar. Yeah, if you're trying to cut out like soda, it's probably like the best thing you can do. Well, no, because it doesn't have sugar. So that's the catch. So it gives you like the same zing as a soda, but you're not like downing a bunch of sugar. They were free at an office I worked at, and I often used to. So I've gotten used to them. Yeah, I mean, I've had them. I just, thought it was funny that the person thought they were like hydrating. And not only thought that, but were like bragging about it. They were like, I just thought it was funny because I was like, they were so kind of like, I remember it was in the context of CPR. I had to learn CPR, and we were in a group, and the CPR person was saying like, yeah, and like sometimes people would get dehydrated and they'll just fall over, and you got to like resuscitate them or whatever, like. And he was kind of giving this example of like, that's why like there's like 4 rules in life, and like one of them, he was like, make sure you're drinking enough water. He's like, if you do that, you're gonna have a healthy heart. And like, and he asked that question of like, how many of you drink like this? He pulled out the giant jug of water. He's like, how many of you are drinking this much water a day? And like all of us are like, none of us. Like, no, we're not. We probably you need to drink more water. And this one person was like, I am drinking that much water. In fact, I'm probably drinking more because I drink LaCroix all day. That's why it was funny when it was revealed, because they were kind of volunteering that information in a bragging way, like, I am better than you guys. I just thought that was funny. Anyhow, sorry. Rambling, but that I was trying to remember the context of the LaCroix story. Now I got to disappear for a second. I will be right back to rock this thumbnail, and we're going to find Google images, the Jugal images, the Fugal, the Frugal images. We're going to get there. Okay, I'll be right back. We will find them. Okay, here we go. Let's get this going. All right, so I have, what do I have? I found this image already, and I thought it was really good. I might cross the arms over the chest, but that's a pretty good arrangement of like the person. So now we're gonna have that here. I got my person. I'm going to keep my like refs for the page down here. Where's my couch? Where is my Chase lounge? I still thought that was funny. I don't know, Gary. I'm not going to be cocky enough to assume that you're watching every single one of these streams, but I think it was like last night or something. It was one of the like 5 I did, and yeah, when I came across that, that was a moment. Okay, a funny moment. All right, now I need to pull back my list. I want to have these references a little closer to home down here. And I need to label my layers. I'm really bad with that. When I get into this, I end up with a lot of these numbered layers, and then I lose a lot of time just like eyeball personing or whatever. So this is going to be woman over, you know what? We're going to call it EB, overhead. This is going to be Chase Lounge. Okay, I'm going to pull up my list. I have a good list here. And this is great because we have, okay, we've done our overhead shot. Let me turn off the thumbnail. Okay. Oh, and save. Always save. This is something Chris can vouch for because he's worked in-house multiple times. I cannot reiterate that enough for new designers. Like always, Command S, Command S, Command S when you're working digitally. You will save yourself heartache after heartache. Okay, we got the EB room. I got myself EB, and corpse pose is a question mark. She's just kind of supposed to look like she's been laying there still. So in that reference I found, that's not too bad because those arms are like totally prone. But I do kind of like the idea of like that. The other thing that's weird is I'm surprised Wit isn't in this, like her dog. I think her dog's name is Wit. Oh wait, no, her kid's name is Wit. Flush, my goodness. I was having like a brain fart. Yeah, so Flush. And I think Wit might be the name of Wit is the name of a kid that's in a future seance scene. Man, where did Wit come from? Okay, it's not even their kid's name. I'm getting there. Philip said, I am still here. I just had to take a call. Well, you are welcome here. Thanks for hanging out. Okay, so heavy drapes. I don't think we're going to need like a ton of reference for the heavy drapes because like, here's the thing, like the Hollywood thing that's really old Hollywood. So it's like, you know, they went to a costume shop and got the Victorian thing that they're using in every scene. But it's like yeah, I think we're good on I think we're good to just invent those because it doesn't look like everything I've seen. It doesn't look like they had a lot of ornate curtains. Like these curtains are probably like doubled curtains, so like they're like a thick, almost like a velvet curtain, and then like so that it's more of a pain in the butt for their maids to clean, and then they drape kind of to the ground. So it seems like they were kind of these excessive things. So I don't have to look that up. The sofa or blankets. I think we can invent the blanket from this. I want to see what that pattern is. It looks like it's like a lot of filigree. So that'll be cool. But I think we can invent the blanket from that. So blanket done. Sofa, which ended up being a Chase lounge, is done. Wealth, I mean, we're done with that. Caption of poem. That's something we're going to have to do at the end. EB eyes closed. We're done with that. Open eyes, done with that. EB, done. Okay. What do we have? The reason I know it's nerdy, but this is just the way my brain works. I need to now find. Okay, the bed isn't going to be in our shot, so we don't have to worry about that. But I still kind of like that written. Well, no, because we have that thumbnailed. Washstand. That's okay. That's what we're looking up first. And I just realized, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you guys. That was really bad streaming of me. I've been going through the list and checking things off, and I realized I still have the so I've been going through here and like circling stuff as I was talking, and I realized like you guys can't see what I'm doing, so you're just staring at the reference image that I sized down, and you haven't even seen the sizing down of that. I apologize. I will try to make sure I'm sharing Photoshop as I'm doing it. So what I've done is I've consolidated and moved all my images up here. I was saying that like I think we're good for the blanket, which is up here. I think that from the curtains, it doesn't look impossible to invent because they're just solid curtains. And the one thing I liked from the set of that film was giving me like a positioning of like where the windows are. And then also I like this stuff, like the like the crazy like filigree, like the fake ornamentation on the walls. And so I might use a little bit of that. But other than that, I think I'm scrapping it. And I like the Chase Lounge. Although I'm going to go more this direction because this is way more historically accurate than this like giant ornate thing. Okay. So now we're going to look up a washstand. So that's where we're at. I have my thumbnail all sized and stuff. And so now I need to find, I just want to get all the references I need out of the way, and then we're going to do our sketch. Okay. So washstand. What does a washstand look like? A Victorian washstand. Do you guys know? I don't. That's why we're going to go hunt it down. Victorian washstand. And the problem is sometimes see, I like this. I like this kind of thing, like a wash basin. Oh my goodness, that's out of frame. Let me see if I can pull that in here. We got to resize this window a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I kind of like that wash basin. So that's pretty cool. Let's see what else. That's kind of where I want to go with it. Either that or this, which is more of like a subtle thing with a bowl. Okay. We're going to do one little trick. No, you know what? I was going to like possibly pull up like a 3D model of it or something. I don't think we need a 3D model. I think we can invent what that looks like overhead. Which one do we want to do though? Chat, I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think? Okay, we're going to pull them both in. So I will pull, oh, there we go. I will pull this washstand, and then we will go to this one that's like got the more ornate china and craziness on it. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to go back to our rough page. Which washstand do you guys feel is like more, feels a little more Brownings-ish? As I'm doing this, the one thing that's hard to navigate with, let me zoom in so you guys can get a better view too. I'm thinking like, let's see, you know what I'll do to just pull the chat? I'm going to say washstand 1 or washstand 2. My inclination is this. Am I crazy as an artist to like want to trust my gut, or should I go more here? This just feels better for that room. And I like this kind of basin here. That's pretty cool. So type in 1 or 2 for your preferred washstand. I'm going to say, as I wait for the results, I will disappear for a second and I will be back. As I'm waiting for the poll, whatever number gets typed first is pretty much what I'm going with. And if I don't get a response, I might just pick. But okay, I'll be right back. 1 or 2, washstand 1 or 2. Okay. I love it. Chris beat everybody to it. He said 2 looks like it would be to the Queen's approval. Yeah, I mean, there's one thing about 2, obviously, that's a little period inaccurate. We're not going to have like a hand soap dispenser. That would be funny to like. Again, that's like the sequence like where you're watching like Braveheart or something, and somebody has like a pair of Chucks on. You're like, that pulled me out of it a little bit. Okay, I have to be cautious too. That's part of why I want to be really thorough, because I don't want to be making the thing where it's like, did they have Chuck Taylors in the olden times? The irony is like, you're never going to get it perfect with this stuff. I mean, you just never are. But at least you've got like, at least this is a good start. And then again, the beauty is, if I ever have a scene in this movie, in this, I was about to call it a movie, in this comic again, I don't have to like do all this heavy lifting. Like, I have everything worked out. It's just a new scene, and there's going to be quite a few scene changes throughout the book. But like, the nice thing is, things will exponentially, Gary was mentioning this, but he was saying like things will exponentially pick up as you're kind of in similar scenes, because like it's like the less and less I'm going to have to do where, yeah. So this is going to be wash stand. Okay, we got that. Now we need to find, okay, so I got my wash stand. I'm going to go back to my list and I'm going to cross that off. Wash stand, check. Okay, now I want to find some bookshelves and books. This, I'm going to guess that they're going to have bought or paid for somebody to craft an old tall set of bookshelves. This is the other humorous thing about the Barretts of Wimpole Street. It's like, so every account of Elizabeth Barrett Browning when she was Elizabeth Barrett of that room was that it was like covered in bookshelves, because she was like a literary genius. Like, she was a nerd for books. She was in love with poetry. Like, that's all she wanted to do in life. And there's this movie they made about it, and like the room is just bereft of any, like there's no books. Like, there's no books, there's no bookshelves in her room, because she's a swooning maiden who's being held hostage by her father and needs to be rescued by Robert. That's kind of the take they take. That's part of why I'm so excited about having a book that's more accurate to who Elizabeth was, even in the set design. Just, we have a really good opportunity here. Gary said, done drawing for the day. Good luck tonight, Josh. Thank you, Gary. I have a hard out at 2 a.m. and I'm hoping to have this rough done. Probably this stream I'm hoping to finish by 12 and have this rough finished too. So we'll see how it goes. Okay. In this case, the type too, I might placehold in with actual type rather than writing it in. We'll see, because it's going to have a Browning's poem kind of going over it. or through it. I got to kind of work out how that's going to go. Okay. Bookshelves. Let's look up some Victorian bookshelves, ladies and gents. Bookshelves. For whom the shelves shelve. Whoa, that was cool. When the computer memory like makes something go warp as it's opening. Okay. Tall book shelves. Oh man, this is gonna be fun. You know what's gonna be hard about this is I love bookshelves. And if I see too many bookshelves, I might find myself like purchasing bookshelves that I shouldn't purchase. I'm joking, kind of. Not really. Okay, Maya, I won't buy them. Look at that. That's perfect. That's perfect as like a front for the bookshelves. So we're gonna use that. I want to use something more ornate, but it's like again, I want to base it more on that drawing. And that drawing looks like it's Victorian, but it's not like filigree laden like princely suite like they did in the black and white film. It's wealthy, but I think it's like more subtle than that. Like now I think from what I've heard about the Barrett's house, like the kind of flat in general, it's like it gets into that like crazy like haunted mansion awesomeness, you know, outside of her room. But her room, it seems, is just cluttered with bookshelves. It's kind of pared down a little bit for the wealth they are. So that's pretty good. I like that with less stuff. Chris was saying this is just going to turn into a shopping spree. I'm like, I like that suit and I'm just going to have to buy it for research. And like 5 years later, it's like I'm wearing a monocle during my stream and I'm getting further on my comic. It's like no progress on the comics. Just really, I'm just trying to dress dapper. There's more truth to that than I'd like to admit. I think the dapper thing is pretty rad. Okay. I think were I to have like a vast amount of wealth, I would probably dress like Sherlock Holmes in the BBC Panorama series. In all seriousness. Okay. Bookshelves, books, done. Books and busts. That gives me a rough idea. I want to look at my thumbnail too, because I feel like I had a couple other things. I want to look up like a Victorian fireplace. Chris is like, this is all research, I tell you. Monocled Josh. All right. I want to find like a Victorian fireplace. This is gonna make me want to go to England, though. This book. I was telling my sister that if we succeed with this book, which is always a gamble with indie books, we're gonna have to go check out Casa Guidi, which is like their crazy awesome mansion. Maybe go to 50 Wimpole Street and stuff. Just do like a little Brownings tour, which my sister has done. Ooh, that's interesting. This is like weird though. That's like, well, what do you guys think? That feels a little too like, that feels too deco. But you know what's funny? My inclination was to put a clock on it, and that was a good inclination. I'm thinking this is way better. I would do a pull, but I like this one the best. So that's the one I'm going with. So that's going to be the fireplace. Okay. And I don't think that's on my list, but it's still something I need to do. Okay, we got our fireplace check. We've got our bookshelves. We have our kind of wash basin thing. I have like a low table that I need. Kind of a low table. Okay. So blankets, I still have unwritten because I just wanted to read. Oh my gosh, and I'm doing it again, guys, where you're looking at this. Okay. Blankets are done. So we have the heavy drapes. We already talked about that. That's done. The sofa is the wow, I listed sofa like 4 times here, guys. That's done. Sculptures of famous poets. We're not going to see it close enough to be able to recognize any famous poets. Although, since it's poets, one of them will be. I'm forgetting. See, now I need to look up Okay, now I'm. Wait. I can't draw Edgar Allan Poe, guys. I don't have time. I was having too much fun riffing there. I was gonna draw Edgar Allan Poe, but there's no point. But maybe we'll sneak him in as one of the sculptures, because that would be a poet. You see what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, I'm here all night, guys. I am. Okay. List. And I have that thumbnail. Oh, I see what happened. I did undo. Blankets. Don't have to have the poets. Are we set to go? I think we're. Oh yeah, there's one more thing, which is a Victorian. What would that be called? Just table. Like a Victorian side table. And I want it to be. I don't want it to be like the roundy thing. Oh, and now I'm doing the other thing. Okay, now we're looking at Victorian side tables. And I'm wondering if I should go with something like that looks pretty well, that looks too much like a stool. Doesn't it? I want something a little more. That might actually be it. Just drawing that like wider, I guess. But I feel like there should be like a almost like a now I feel like this would be better. Writing table. Aha. That makes a little more sense. Do we want it to be like this? Looks like a business thing. This, I mean, I could see that. Again, it doesn't feel like that room to me, though. I think something more pared down. I mean, that is a really cool writing desk, but you should plan a Victorian tour. We were planning on going to England to exhibit at Thought Bubble Comic Fest. Alas, this is the start of the year known as 2020. Yeah, my only thing is like I'm a weird person where I mean I'm not going to be traveling for a year. I'm going to be making this comic. and then like for the next year I'll be wrapping 2 stories book 2, which I'm like 25 pages into. So this is the hard thing about creating, and I know Chris knows this balance. I think that's more the desk I want. that looks like a desk. I'm just going to show you guys something here that I see in this desk, where if you were to have like a Beauty and the Beast situation with this individual, you could have like your monocle here, right? This is your mustache. And then it's like, you see what I'm saying? This is your Victorian desk. Okay, I'm gonna stop goofing off here. I do like that as a Victorian table though. Okay, we have our stuff. We have all our tools. We got all our tools here to do our roughs. And then the beauty is, again, like when it comes to finals, this just saves me a load of work. All right. Art thou already? Oh, there's one other thing I think I have on this page, which is the bust of, yeah. Okay. I had to get this because I think this is a really good thing. This helps me think about her face. Like it's a good it's just a good facial reference. So there we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save, pull up my thumbnail. I'm going to turn down the opacity a bunch. I'm going to lock it. Oh my gosh, I thought I was going to lock it. Why wouldn't I lock it? Doesn't make sense. Okay, I wanted to lock that layer. Thank you. And now we're going to... Okay, that's definitely not a... Okay, now we're going to save, and I'm going to get into the sketches. The sketchins. All right, now we're placing furniture, guys. Maybe before placing furniture, we're going to draw Elizabeth. I'm going to get a good image of her head. And her hair is going to be kind of there. I'm not really concerned about it because I'm going to rotate her head in a second. So we're just trying to get... Now, does the script say anything about her pale face shrouded in dark, heavy ringlets? Okay, so she's reclining on a sofa. She's looking kind of dead here. So we're going to have Elizabeth kind of... She has a very like round portion there. And we're going to have... Okay, I might even be being too tight for this already. The neat thing about like, man, like the first 2 pages of this that I did, I was like way too tight with my sketching. And I was just like, I don't need to be like super crazy tight guy on this, you know? These are roughs. Okay, and then I like the idea of that coming up a little more. So she's gonna have her trademark, like this is the coolest thing about Elizabeth, is she has these rad like ringlet curly hair thing that happens down here. I don't know what that's called, but it's pretty rad. Oh my gosh, I'm not showing you guys the drawing. Live streaming fail. Holy crap. So the ringlets are going here. You got like, how much were you guys missing there? That's really annoying. So she has these ringlets. That's what I was trying to say. And now I'm going to kind of do this, I want to keep in mind this costume up here. So basically, like the costume up here, and I need to pull up chat because I still have like the Victorian monocle desk pulled up, and we're done. We're done with our research business. I'm done with that situation with these individuals. Yeah, Chris just said in chat, which I didn't have pulled up, we're still only seeing desks on screen. And he's like, I mean, they are cool desks. Yeah, but that's like not as fun as this. So now I've basically pulled up like this sculpture that I found of her. And then I sketched it kind of like up that way, and then I rotated it. Now we're gonna kind of look at first I'm gonna just get the body here. This is a little trick with especially roughs where it's like I like to just draw the body before I draw. Like if I have to add a costume like that, which I'm not gonna add the head covering because that just makes her look like I don't want our intro to Elizabeth to be like presenting her as if she's like Amish or something, or like the lady at the waiting room in the doctor's office. What's that painting? Mai, do you remember? It's got like a Whistler painting or whatever. There's like a Whistler painting of like a old oh my gosh. It's like a lady in a bonnet like sitting in a waiting room, and it used to be in like every doctor's office waiting room. I think it's Whistler.
Yeah, she's like sideways and she's.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of a cool painting. It's like playing with, we're going to put her on the Chase Lounge because that's literally where she is all day long. I'm going to make that joke till it's just dead. Like, I think that joke died about 15 years ago, and I'm going to bury it and then resurrect it like a zombie. It's a zombie joke, you guys. Joke that will not die. Okay, I do want. Okay, again, keep it loose, dude. Don't get tight. Don't get tight with your drawings. Do. I do like the idea of her hand just kind of dangling like it's dead just off of the. Because I was originally going to do her with in kind of like a I also want her expression to be a little more concerned. Because she's thinking about the death of her brother in this scene. She's not like in a good mood. I was originally going to have her having like a corpse pose, but I think her arm hanging off the side is like way more effective. We're going to give her hand here. Here she's going to just have it sitting dead. Okay. And what are we going to have here? Okay. She might be too big here. I've made the mistake of kind of starting her a little too large, I think, for this. It's a tough angle for a foot. This is going to be coming up a little more towards us. I do like that leg pose a little bit. There we go. Okay. So now we need to add costume to this chaos here. So I'm going to look at this costume. Oh, I think she's going to have that high ridden sort of thing going here. She's going to have definitely like the Victorian era isn't going to. Okay. And then she's got these crazy, like, this is the crazy thing about her costumes. And a lot of them have these sleeves. It's like this crazy long sleevey thing that she's going to have a blanket over her. I think here I'm going to do that. I want that actually. I was going to have it up here, but if you think about it, these are like these weird hoopy sleeve things. So that's the official term. I know this because I am a fashion designer. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think if you're like wearing these hoopy sleeves, like they're going to kind of almost be like dangly a little bit. And now we're going to have just a little bit of, okay. I want to have a blanket, but I also need to draw the chaise longue. So we're going to have our chaise lounge here. Head resting on the peak of the chaise lounge. We're going to have the things here. Chaise lounge. I'm going to have this, like this is that extra part of the chaise lounge. We're trying to do this kind of indie movie shot, you know, like I was thinking about it, having it from different angles and stuff like that, but I feel like it was actually Corey who recommended kind of turning it at the angle it is, because it creates this like kind of visual shape like that for the overall page, which is kind of rad, very designy. And that is something that Corey has a real strength with. Okay, so now we're going to do our blankets over this so we can kind of know. So we've got our blankets. Is that too short? Should it be longer? I mean, she's huge on this page, so I might have to shrink the chaise long. Okay. I want to do this just a little bit longer. It's not a Victorian Snuggie. That'd be hilarious. The Victorian Snuggie existed. But no, they have like these, it's crazy. Like a lot of her dresses have these like crazy sleeves, like the end of the sleeve, like even not in this picture, but other ones I've found. I had to do for our pitch, I did like a seance sequence. Because spoiler alert, there are seances in this, which is pretty cool. But when I had to kind of like look that up, it was like, man, you know, just hard to figure out like how those sleeves even work, because they literally wrap around, like here's your wrist or whatever in your hand. It's like they literally wrap around it like that with like a big cuff, you know, which is, it's just kind of a nutty thing for an artist, you know, to like, at least for me, like it's very different from the kind of fabric that I'm used to drawing, because I draw stuff that takes place in our day and age, you know. I want the blanket she's got to like kind of be almost like cascading a little bit over. This isn't like a clean room. This is a person who's been laying there sick for a long time. I'm going to have, I don't want to cop out on my feet or my legs. So I have like proper stuff going on there. And our goal is to kind of make this almost like, here, this will actually come up. That would be happening. And our goal is to kind of have it pretty clear. She's not doing good, you know, she's not doing too hot here. This blanket's going to have like crazy filigree stuff. So I'm just going to do little hoops to kind of represent that. This is a rough. It's not a final. Isn't that crazy? I don't know. Maybe I'm nuts for spending that long on research for a rough, but I don't think it's that nuts. I think like with a book like this, it's really important, and it's going to save my ass when it comes to finals to have all that research already done. But maybe I'm nuts. Maybe I need to just do roughs from my head and then look up research from that. I think this process for me helps me get a better visual picture of kind of where we're at. So we're probably going to have like a light source, right? Like we're going to have like a, we're going to end up having a fireplace. So yeah, so there's probably going to be some light here that's going to be kind of casting shadow. And then we're also going to have like a strange secondary light thing going from here, which is going to be the windows. And I like the idea of kind of blocking that in a little bit. So she's kind of positioned a little bit more. I can get some of that secondary shadow that's going to happen from it. So we're going to have some interesting shadows because we have like a light here. Here's where it's going to kind of coalesce. And I also have, it's a very like interesting situation, interesting lighting situation going on. Okay, we got our chaise, our chase lounge, Oh my gosh, my brain is dead on that. Okay, so now we're gonna do, what should we do next? We should do the windows, which I'm gonna look at that window for like some ideas for how that window is gonna look. Do the window here to the window. Okay. Oh wait, the window. What am I doing? Oh my gosh. Now that I talked about the window, I need to get rid of that secondary light source that we just went all the way through. Ugh. I wonder if I'll be able to go back. If not, we'll just draw over it. Yeah, we can't. Okay. That's okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, whoa. Okay, we didn't want to go that far back. I think I went too far back. I basically scrapped the secondary light source. I forgot the drapes are closed, ladies and gents. So our main light source is going to be just from here. So instead, I want it to be a little more dramatic, which is actually pretty cool because that's like horror movie lighting where you have light coming from under the chin. So there should be like some spooky stuff going on there, right? We're going to have like a little bit of light. Oh my gosh. I don't want to overdo it though. Now I'm overdoing it a little bit. But actually I have to correct that a little bit because it's like I don't want to give the perception that there's light now coming from a source that there won't be because I forgot the curtains are drawn. Details are so important. Okay. Want to make sure we have proper thing going on here. Give her a little more differentiation on that hand. Give a little bit of light again. That's going to be really dark there because that's, need to clarify that hand a little bit too, because I want it to be, this is literally just a hand that is dangling over, you know? Okay. Ah, yes, the sleeve of the wizard. It is like wizard sleeves. That's totally true. I think people in Victorian, do you think, oh my gosh, hot take, do you think people in the Victorian times were wizards? You guys, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. I shouldn't be getting into shading yet. I just am having fun. Okay, so we're gonna have right here, we're gonna have our drapes, and it's gonna be like equivalent to these drapes, these crazy drapes. Crazy drapes that I'm gonna try to remember this too. That like no one in their right mind would own if they had to clean a house. Can you? I don't know. It's like again, like there's something charming about Victorian houses, but those drapes, just like I just think like vacuuming. I guess they didn't have vacuums then. I'm like, can you imagine vacuuming around his drapes? And it's like, yeah, can you imagine like pulling them off and then scrubbing them with water, like because you don't have a washing machine? Like, man, we live in like. Here's the thing, like, Eliz-
They cook the grapes down and wash them.
that's what I'm saying. I just said scrubbing them in a tub because you don't have a washing machine.
Teams of people to do these.
Well, not everybody did, but I'm just
They
saying.
would've.
Can you imagine? Like, here's what
Downton Abbey.
I
Downton
know.
Abbey.
I know. I'm just saying we live in luxury and don't even realize it. Like the fact that like yeah, the fact that like I can like if I wanted to wash our drapes, I can pull them down, throw them in a washing machine, done. Done. That's anyhow. I'm just saying. I mean, it'd be fun to have like a whole staff of people, but I'm just saying, like, if we were around, this is something I always like to tell people who are really in love with Jane Austen stories. There's a ton of people who love Jane Austen, and I enjoy Jane Austen stuff too, right? But if you watch Sense and Sensibility and you're of my class of person, like I do not come from a wealthy stock. So if I was a character in like Sense and Sensibility or Pride and Prejudice, when people watch that, they at least I'm just saying people I know watch that, they make the mistake of thinking that they would be the character, like, the main Jane Austen novel character, or maybe the character's sister or the character's sibling. And it's like, what I realized, I don't know. Again, like I think I was watching Pride and Prejudice when I realized like Mr. Darcy, like if I watch Pride and Prejudice, I want to imagine I'm Mr. Darcy. That would be awesome. In reality, like my station and class, I'm the guy who shows up with like a tray of food at a party. Like that's my job. Or I'm like the guy, I'm the chauffeur. Like you're not going to be the main person. So anyhow, I'm just saying for that fact that I would have been in that station, like the much lower station, if I was even fortunate enough to like be doing that and not working like fields or something. I mean, I'm just saying, like, dude, we live in so much luxury. Um, hot take. that's that's my bit on this thing. I'll say really obvious things and be like, "This is my hot take, guys." All right. So I want there to be like kind of some of that crazy Victorian stuff going on with the walls. Okay, this is going to be the desk. This will make sense, guys. This will make sense. All right, so I want this to be the crazy Victorian desk. And this is going to be more just like straight above. Oh my gosh, I need to thin my brush there. And we're just doing a rough. Oh my gosh, I'm being too sketchy here. But keep that looseness. Keep the looseness. Okay, we're going to have the desk here. I'm just being a little more bold about my drawing here. And then we're going to have it have those ornate filigree thingy-mabops. I think it's going to kind of have a lip to it. It's going to go down, out, and out. Kind of like that. Down, out, and out. Kind of like that. Whew, that's an interesting one. From that angle, that's an interesting kind of curve to draw. Okay, now we're going to do our little side thing where this is the drawers in it. And again, I was starting to do the noodly sketchy thing. We don't need to sketch here. We don't need to make a ton of lines. Bold, confident lines. My little mustache. If this makes it to the final, you guys just imagine this is the nose. That's the Victorian guy. He's hidden in that page. And you can be the few and the proud that know that that's the truth about that desk. That desk is a Beauty and the Beast desk. It's just hanging and being kind of creepy and not revealing that it can talk and has a monocle. Okay, what's going to be on the desk? I think we're going to have papers. Got a poet here, right? So we're going to have papers. We're going to have, these are like parchment type paper though. This isn't, we're going to have like a quill maybe? I mean, I'm going to have to look into it because I think they might have actually had like a, I don't want to speak too soon. I'm guessing there might be like a typewriter at this time, but I have no idea. And I want there to be like some, I don't know, some stuff. So there we go. And again, I want there to be like crazy Victorian ornateness to this house, like some fake filigree-ish stuff. This is going to be our bookshelf. Our bookshelf's going to be kind of here. We want it to be that nice wide bookshelf that I liked so much. I'm going to have it kind of have that lip. So this lip is coming out on the outside of the bookshelf. So that's going to go inside to a smaller bookshelf thing. And then this is going to come down. Again, my perspective is not going to be perfect on this because we're just kind of roughing it out. These are kind of going to meet down here. It's going to be like our base of our bookshelf. And then this is going to be the part that has the things. Yep. Cool. So now we've got, I want to have, oh my gosh, there's so many shelves here. So we're going to have this, two. It's sad because from that angle, we're not really going to see all that much going on, like with the bookshelf. Except for maybe some, like here, there's going to be like a book kind of sitting on its side. I like that idea. Here, we're going to have like some stacked books those will be front facing because she's a good retailer. She's front facing her books. I grew up in an English nerd family. And so my parents were like really meticulous about books. Like when you put a book back on the bookshelf, you front face it. And I think that's also because my dad like managed retail at certain points in his life, and it's like when you work and manage retail, or you just work retail. Oh my gosh, what happened to the drawing there? Thank you. When you work and manage retail, this is way too tight. We're gonna give it a little space. We're gonna move this leg a little bit. I'm gonna move this over here and adjust it because we can, and that's what you do when you're roughing things out. So, yeah, but I do think that's like a funny thing about, because I was thinking about that the other day when we had to kind of work on some stuff. Now, this is a Victorian house, and I remember reading that Elizabeth had a love of plants, but they just like keep dying in this room. That is in one of those descriptions. And so she had some ivy vines, like kind of like more like vines of ivy or something, because they would it wouldn't die as easily. So she had this problem of just like kill all her plants because she was so sick. Her plants would just die. So I'm gonna have some ivy here. And also, I need to take off some of these things because they're starting to get in the way. Okay, like, do I need the Chase Lounge? No. Do I need that? No. So now we're starting to get into that fun territory of having like a decent little comped out rough. So I want to have some ivy that's kind of maybe pouring over a little bit. I can reference some ivy too. I don't want to make it like a beanstalk. That would be a mess to do. We could have it growing like a beanstalk up into the sky, but I think the idea of having it kind of laced down. So that's all I need for ivy there. I'm going to kind of give that a little shadow because that's going to be up close to the height. Okay, what have we drawn so far? I'm going to have to draw another bookshelf. I don't need to draw that desk. I do, because we're over 2 hours, I do need to disappear for 2 seconds. Chris said, the interesting thing with our actual skill set, we could weasel our way into the higher classes with portrait painting. That's good. I actually like that idea. And Chris, dude, like we have some formal training with like life painting with like oil paints and stuff. So you and I could rock that business, man. That's I didn't think about it from that perspective. That's a good point. We would find like a Medici. I'm gonna find a Medici family in that era. I'm gonna find a Medici family, and then I'm gonna get like a little studio space in somebody's mansion. I'll be right back. Coffee refill. All right, so I might be making the mistake of having everything kind of perfectly aligned to the walls. But I don't know if that's a mistake. Like I kind of think that's going to be the case on something like this. So we're also going to have like a round end table that we're going to kind of invent here. I like that idea. And I will probably make it like maybe it's got like a thing. What would be on that end table? What's a stupid Victorian thing? Not stupid, but like what is a thing that they're gonna throw on an end table? Am I drawing on the right layer here? Oh my gosh, thank goodness. Yes, okay, that's good. To be continued. Maybe it'll be like a mirror. But like kind of a Victorian mirror. It's got like a hairbrush or something. Okay, whatever. We'll figure that out. Again, we're just thumbnailing here. This is going to be the corner of the room. And here's the thing about these old Victorian houses. They always had like these crazy kind of like faux things at the top. So that's where it gets kind of crazy and ornamental. Okay. Now we got to do our fireplace. That's going to be tough, but fun. Okay. Keep loose. I'm doing good with the loose. I have this tendency to like tighten up if I haven't done thumbs in a while. But then when I get in the zone and I'm like doing thumbs, it's like I got it going on. It's just like a matter of like you want to stay nice and loose. So forgive me if like that gets annoying kind of hearing that, but it's like I have to remind myself like don't get too tight with this. Like you do not need to be like making a final. I've been in that like production zone because 2 stories, like I did the thumbs for the entire book. And so those are all done, which is great. As you can see, like I actually spend a lot of time on the comping rough stage and the final stage. And this might be like the way Chris and I were kind of trained, like, Cal State Long Beach, like one of the things I will say, and I know Rick Reese now is the chair. I don't know, Chris, if you knew that. I thought it was cool that Rick became chair. But anyhow, like, and I know he's continuing in this tradition, but one of the things I really appreciated about learning art there is they have had such a focus, like a heavy focus on the importance of like not just drawing something, but like thinking about it. Like think about what you're doing. Like what are you saying in your art, And I think that was really valuable. I was gonna have the clock up here. I do want to have that clock. Do that clock. Technically, if you're drawing a clock in perspective, you should kind of do your lines and then just kind of. But if it's that style of clock, but whatever. Okay. I have this down here. Again, they may not know what that is. That's okay. I do. So actually, why am I putting the light source behind the clock? Because now the light source is going to be in front of the clock. We're going to have like a lot of shadow. In fact, we're probably going to have our darkest shadow in this area of the room because we got like our light coming from that warm fire. Oh my gosh, you know what? We're almost there, guys. I might actually make it by like a little over 12. So you can tease me a little bit, but I did make it in time. I think I was gonna have a book. No, this wasn't gonna be a bookshelf. So we're done with that bookshelf. which is kind of a shame. It'd be fun to have more bookshelves. I'm going to talk a little quieter too, because I think everybody's turning in for the night, and I don't want to keep people up. Adam just joined. Globe. You know what? I'm sorry, Chris. That was a genius idea. I'm going to make this have a globe. You know what? We're going to make this a globe. That was a really good idea, Chris. Chris Kawagua in with the... It makes sense. Chris does steampunk comics, like, you know, and a lot of them do play with a lot of like old-timey Victorian stuff. And then if you see Chris's illustrations, you'll see that too. There's a lot of old-timey Victorian references in there. So make this a globe. A rough approximation of a globe. I like that. I like that idea, Chris. This is going to be one of those standing globes. Why the heck not? And again, it's going to be like the Braveheart problem. Adam just showed up in the chats. How's it going, Adam? How you doing? We're just wrapping the kind of thumbnailing and working out the layout for Elizabeth Barrett's bedroom in a way that hopefully is like slightly period accurate. Okay, I don't know if I need all this Elizabeth stuff up here anymore either. Do we need this? Nope, we're done with that. Do we need this? Nope. Oh man, this is so exciting. This is coming out really pretty cool. I'm excited. Chris was saying this is like Bob Ross, but with Victorian home decor. We're just going to put some happy globes in there. Ah, that's the one thing we forgot. I knew I was jumping the gun. I want her to have... Okay, so this is going to be crazy. This is weird, but this is very Victorian. So they're going to have that all that fake siding on the wall because everything was about like presentation. Like you look at, you know, people were like dousing themselves in cologne and oils and stuff like that to like cover up like the whole thing is like veneer, like the whole style of and it's lovely veneer. It's like something I absolutely adore. That's why the typography is so fun to look at the time, because they just have useless filigree like all over. And that's like a very period specific thing. I mean, it's not quite as crazy as like French stuff, you know, like the French monarchy kind of era, but it's like very, very much like pomp and circumstance, genteel kind of stuff. Okay. So I want to have this have like kind of a, this is going to have like a sort of filigree thing. We'll figure it out on the final. We may not even need to figure it out too much for the final, because all of this stuff is just like these cool like kind of filigree bops that are all over like the woodwork. And this is going to be a wooden door. That's what I've decided. So we're going to have like this kind of ornate pattern that's going to be on the wall of the entryway, which again is going to be like an arch. And we're just doing this really exaggerated perspective. So that's going to come out a little bit. We're going to have our door here. Door is going to be all filigreed up. Have that. Get our shadow in there. Again, like we have our light source kind of coming from this. And I'm not worried about going outside of the panels because I'm on like a different layer here. Okay. We decided that there was going to be like a fake curtain kind of thing here. Because just this day and age, there's just no way in hell. Like, this is her Chase Lounge, but it's like, there's no way in hell a woman's going to have a bedroom because people are just so like about appearances and stuff. Any bed is going to be like not in view. It's going to be behind curtains or something like that. Like, you're never going to, I don't know. That might be me reading too much into it, but I do think that would be like a big no-no to have at that time. Oh man, there's one other thing we got to look at. I wonder if it's in that drawing we found that was like kind of showing a little bit more of Elizabeth's scenario here. Okay. I think we're there. I mean, I think we are there. Yeah, Chris was totally mentioning that. Think of her propriety, right? It's like that era, which is why it's like she's such a cool figure because she was so bold for that time. Like, I mean, yeah, she definitely was like sickly and having some issues, and definitely like had very huge mental health struggles. Like, I mean, understandably, right? Like her brother, you know, I know I goof around when I'm doing this, but it's like it's kind of a like emotional thing. Like her brother like died at sea, you know? And like it's really sad when you look into it because not only did he die at sea, but like it was a seafront villa that she lived at that she was begging. It's her favorite brother. She missed him a lot. So she begged him to come stay with them. And then he dies on that ocean, right? Like, so it's like it's heavy, you know? It's like really heavy stuff. There's one other thing we got to look up, but I want to make sure we're getting this deathly atmosphere. Oh, that was too much. Deathly atmosphere here, where we're getting the glow of the fireplace. Maybe we'll have some creaking light from the outside. Although, you know what? We're not going to have that because it's raining outside, right? Okay, now we're going to delete all this out. Delete all this out. Delete all this out. Trim our layers a little bit. The equivalent of peeling the tape off. I don't like the excessive space on this now. I mean, I do like the excessive space, but I don't like that it's not centered. Usually I'd go for off center, but like the whole purpose of this is like that kind of Wes Anderson shot where it's like a straight overhead view. So we're going to lose a tiny bit of the detail we just made. But first, so as not to reinvent the wheel in case I decide to go back, I'm going to save a copy of that. Oh, the washstand. Crap. Okay, I just realized the washstand. We'll throw a washstand in there. I kind of want to have a closer... I just really want it to be very clear what we're doing here with the bars, like where there's a compositional play going on. I kind of don't need her to be totally centered in the room. I like it a little further away. Can even have it a little bit of the stuff, but I like that cropping a little better. What do you guys think? I like this brush you're using for roughs. Yeah, I'm just using that Kyle hard pencil. I love it, and I'm actually going to be using that for finals, which is pretty cool. So this comic's going to be done in a style that's very different from what I usually do, but it's definitely not going to look like this looks more like a storyboard, whereas the final is going to be a little tighter than that. But I'm really excited about it, actually. It's one of the reasons I'm not like totally having a heart attack about having to do 200 and something of these in 365 days. You know what? We're really close to on time here. I'm almost done with this. So we're probably going to go over by like 30 minutes from what I was hoping for it. But that's good for me. Okay, I'm going to turn off that. I don't need to see the reference for our fireplace anymore. Where are you hiding, fireplace? There we go. I don't need to see that. Now the one thing I have to add is the wash basin, which is actually a smart detail from my sister who wrote it. I mean, like the research that here's the thing. I'm figuring this out, right? Did I draw like an arrow on something, or is that just a stray arrow that's hanging out? One of my little example arrows seems to be strayly sitting there. Where are you, arrow? Do you see that over her eyeball? It's not on the washstand. Is it on one of these? Ah, there we go. Okay. I need to have... Yeah, I've been like kind of doing little diagrammatic stuff. I need to have that wash basin here. So we're going to have that wash basin. And that's going to be, let's see, right about here is where I'm going to have that wash basin. So we'll do kind of just try to imagine it. It's a little tough because I didn't thumbnail it out, but it's doable, you know. Just try to think of it from that perspective. Don't do it too bad. I'll just draw the basin first, and then we'll put the items on it. There we go. Let's think. Okay, we got our basin on top. Basin on top here. This is huge, so I'm going to shrink it, of course, too. Basin slightly overlapping. Oh my gosh, come on. I had a moment with my Wacom there. Basin on top. Basin on... Stop, dude. All right, whatever. I'll let it be wobbly. I'm going to have some plants kind of coming at us a little bit. This is going to go down to here. Is this on a flat layer? Might not be so good to do on the same layer because I think I'm going to have to shrink it down because I didn't have my guidelines underneath for this one. So, okay. So we're going to do, this will have that drawer. I'm going to have it kind of, that'll be it's definitely the base part is going to be a little bit closer looking from that angle. And that'll do. Again, these are thumbnails. We don't want to put, I'm not going to throw the, this on there, the the soap dispenser. That would be a mistake. So, okay. I want to move this a little bit here. I want to just tilt it just slightly just to kind of fit it in there. And honestly, that may not actually be all that off in size. I thought it was like huge, but it actually looks about proportionate. So good job, me. So then we're going to shade it. And obviously when it's casting, that might actually bring a little more visual interest into it. Maybe we're getting a little bit more light here. Wait a minute. I'm on the wrong layer for that. Maybe we're going to just have a little bit more light here on this area with it. Cool. All right, let's take off that wash basin now. I don't need to see that. That is way skewed in perspective, but I still think it gets the point across. I guess I could make it a little more accurate, you know, like that. But that gets the perspective across. I don't think we need perfect perspective on a thumbnail. So I'm going to call it, guys. I'm going to save this. I'm going to print it out. I'm going to email it to my publisher because we've worked out. We got through Elizabeth's room, the first view of Elizabeth Barrett's room. Not at Barrett Browning. She's not Browning yet. But this at least gives us a window into... we're now recreating... Oh, crud. There was one other thing I want to double check. One other thing. Sorry. I was about to wrap, and then I'm like, no. We got to do one more thing of research here, which is... oh, my goodness. Didn't want to... Let's see here. We're going to have the... what are we going to pull up? Victorian rug. I need to look at that. Darn it. I even printed. I thought I was all done just when I thought I was out. This is the fun of this process of like historical research for this business. It's our building. Come hither. What are we looking for here? There was a recent sketch that I had, and I need to find what layer it was on. We had it up here. We'll just go through it. It was one of the later ones. These are all from yesterday. One of the later ones. There we go. You guys see what I missed? The rug. There's like a circular pattern on the rug, it looks like. So it's not too bad. We're not like crap out of luck here. Oh my gosh, what am I... Again, I had the... I thought I was going to have to look up Victorian rugs. And then I remembered that we have this image. You see that? And I need to basically have these like circular, almost like peacock patterns on the rug. Which is easy enough, because I think what we could do is just have like a... Let me see if I can do like a little peacock. Oh my goodness. Okay. Do peacock pattern. It's like a weird kind of targety circle almost, but I'm guessing it's kind of like a peacock pattern. Let's see if this is too much. It might be too much. I think it actually might work. So, oh, come on. This is going to drive my wife nuts. She has a, what's it called when you see like circle dots and it kind of seems all creepy? Like there's, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's like when somebody looks at like people who have this, like if they see like blood cells, not blood cells, like they kind of are like, oh man, this is creepy. I'm overdoing it. Don't forget how art is done, Josh. Okay, we're gonna move down and we'll do that. That's what we want. We're gonna move down and we're gonna do that. But anyhow, so this would drive her nuts, but that is the pattern on the rug, so I just have to draw it. So if that gives you, yeah, pareidolia, yeah. Anyhow, so if this gives anybody a pareidolia problem, I apologize, but she did have like a weird orby patterned rug. I'll turn it down in opacity too, because I do think that could be really distracting. And probably shrink it down as well. There we go. Merge down. I was about done too, just when I thought I was done. Make it a little smaller. And again, this point, like at this point, I'm going a little further than I probably should on a rough. Because if you have something like a pattern, a lot of that stuff you can just add later on. But I really do want to sell it. And again, I don't feel like I'm too much over. Okay, that's got enough randomness. Shrink it down a little bit. That'll just have to do. It's not a perfect pattern, but that'll do, right? We're going to just put the opacity down. Do I want to turn the opacity down? I don't know. I know that I'm going to turn off that one up here. And then we're going to kind of clean it up. But I'm excited. Like, I have to say, like, this book is going to be such a challenge to get done. And I don't know if I'm like built weird or something, but I like a challenge. It's like there's something about the impossibility of it that makes me want to do it. Like, it's kind of the thing that keeps me making graphic novels and comics. It's like the fact that it doesn't seem possible makes me want to do it. Now I'm hoping that pattern isn't too much. I think it works. All right, that's a good rough. We're gonna call it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for hanging in there. If you haven't yet, make sure that you have pre-ordered. Oh, here. Now I got to reprint this too. Might as well do it right now. Okay. If you haven't yet, make sure you. Oh, give me 2 seconds. Get back to full cam. Okay. Thank you guys for hanging out, checking out the live stream. I hope it was fun. I'm gonna try to see how much progress I can make to like try to finalize one of these pages, maybe for like an hour or two. I want to kind of experiment with that and see how that goes. But as for the stream, I think we accomplished a lot. I appreciate you guys who gave feedback. Thank you for giving me tips on like which furniture. This is a very fun project, I think, to like kind of crowdsource. And also, I'm learning so much about the Brownings in the process, and that's really cool. So I feel like I'm getting closer to Wimpole Street, and it's very fun. Jacob's Apartment is my graphic novel. That's I don't want to do the full pitch, so I'll just say if you like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, or you are a fan of like The Graduate or doomed romance novels, this is a slice of life coming of age story that deals with both waking and sleeping dreams that start interweaving in a young couple's life, or a young group of friends' lives, when they're both at a point in life where they're questioning identity and faith. And so this book's about the questions that can make you, the things that can make you question even the strongest of faith. It's a good book. It's out from Graphic Monday in June, and you can pre-order this at like almost any bookstore. And then also, if you're curious and you just can't wait till June, and you can't wait, like you've gone to your bookstore, you've asked them like, hey, make sure you order Jacob's Apartment by Joshua Kemble, but you want to read something by me now just to see what I'm all about. Read 2 stories. This is my graphic novel about faith and mental illness. It's hand lettered, hand inked, and can be handed to you at any indie friendly bookstore anywhere. And it basically talks about my journey dealing with depression as well as growing up as a comic book geek. And both of these are books for 16 or older, but this should be available at any fine indie bookstore near you, or you can again order it on Amazon. If you have Prime, you get free shipping, you get a really reduced rate. And I've heard of people who, like, if they order it today, will get it tomorrow. That's not guaranteed. I'm not the shipping company, but I'm just saying they ship it really quick. That'll do it. And then Chris said that's a decent pitch. Hey, dude, if Chris is complimenting a pitch, I will take that compliment, because I have boothed with Chris Caligua, and Chris is a master at pitching stuff. Cyber Ninja just hopped in. How's it going, Cyber Ninja? Yeah, have a good night. Sorry, we're wrapping like right when you hopped in. And that'll basically do it. I will be live streaming probably almost every night as I'm working on this crazy project. And you know what I just realized? Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, before I go, do you see this curtain behind me in my house? Okay, now wait. Now you'll see what I'm looking at. Oh wait, not that. You see that? What was that? Oh, that's my other webcam that's pointing at, anyhow, whatever. Okay, do you see that pattern on the floor? Okay, now we're gonna go back. Boom. Isn't that crazy? That looks a little bit like the pattern I just drew on the floor. How weird is that? Okay, guys, have a good night. I'll see you on the next stream, and also make sure you've hit subscribe, you've hit that bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live. This has been a really fun collaborative project, and you are able to actually help me and contribute in the research on this crazy graphic novel that I have to do in a year, about the Brownings. All right, that'll do it, and I will see you guys. And then Chris said, it's all coming true. Art is life and life is art. All right, guys, have a good night. And thanks to everybody in the chats too who showed up. I really appreciate it. All right, bye.